Morning, Unity in Marin. I'm Cindy Acker, and I'm going to be your singer this morning, and we are going to sing some songs that have to do with relationship and life, and then there is a special song at the end that I hope you'll give extra attention to. The first one you'll be able to sing with me, and you will know it as the song from The Lion King, The Circle of Life. I'll sing the verses, and you can come in on the choruses. From the day we arrive on the planet and blinking stepped into the sun, there's more to be seen than can ever be seen, more to do than can ever be done. There's far too much to take in here, more to find than can ever be found. But the sun rolling high on the sapphire sky keeps great and small on the endless round. It's a circle of life. It's the wheel of fortune. It's the leap of faith. It's the band of hope till we find our place on the path unwinding. Yeah. It's a the circle of life. Some of us fall by the wayside, and some of us soar to the stars, and some of us sail through our troubles, and some have to live with the scars. There's far too much to take in here, more to find than can ever be found. But the sun rolling high in the sapphire sky keeps great and small on the endless round. It's the circle of life, and it moves us all through despair and hope, through faith and love, till we find our place on the path unwinding. Yeah, it's the circle of life. On the path unwinding, through the leap of faith, to the path of hope, till we find our place on the path unwinding. Yeah, in the circle of life.
we open our minds and our hearts to this moment, to this place, to this purpose, as we are in community together, realizing the spiritual truth of life, of that circle of life, and the power that is there for us when we hear, when we open to that inner knowing. And it is good.
Open to the presence now. Love is in this place. Open to the light within. Feel God's peace and grace. Open to the presence now. Love is in this place. Open to the light within. Feel God's peace and grace.
Good morning. My name is Carolyn Gauthier. I'm going to be leading you through today's service. I want to thank Cindy Acker, who you know as our choir director, who is going to be our singing solo today, and Benny Watson on the piano. And I also wanted to thank Reverend Pat Palmer for opening us up today, and to say how fortunate we are as a community that even though our senior minister recently retired, we have 2 ministers here to hold us, ground us, and really be our spiritual guides until we find another senior minister, and that's Reverend Medora Gordon and Reverend Pat Palmer. So we're really fortunate to have them both. And she's going to be giving the talk today, this is really an amazing service. Hold on to your seats, because this is going to be a good one. A lot going on. I want to just acknowledge for a moment that we come together in community because there's something inside of us that draws us here. It's the spirit in us, and we are spiritual beings. And this place is a magnet because, being in physical bodies, these bodies want to be around other spiritual beings. So we have the capacity and the ability to hold an awful lot in this life, to hold, as the Buddhists say, 10,000 joys and 10,000 sorrows. And there are many, many reminders all the time, including this morning, seeing the smoke and breathing that, a physical reminder that there are difficulties, there are sufferings going on, there are people who have lost their homes, there are people who are evacuated, and there are people all over the world suffering all kinds of turmoil. And we can feel that, and at times feel overwhelmed by it, and then at other times we feel the extreme gratitude and joy of the miracle of life. So to be able to hold it all is a true blessing, and I just ask that we all hold reverence for that, especially today, and use it as a reminder to pray for others, that when we feel that depth of emotion, to take it to prayer, to know that prayer makes a difference, and that when 2 or more are gathered praying, that energy goes out there and it is felt. We all have felt it, so just another reminder. And also to be a witness to life and to be authentic and to be there for each other. And really, that's what our vision statement is. So let's say that together. We are a spiritual community committed to authenticity and the expression of love and support for each other in living an awakened, enlightened life. And we took this statement and said, how do we accomplish this? How do we show up in our lives, in this community, in the world, to make that happen? And we were able to identify 3 core commitments. And the first one is to connect. So let's read that together. We connect with spirit, inspiring each other, the community, and the world. So we do have lots of opportunities to connect here. As you know, we've got the holiday, red, white, and blue, 4th of July, so we won't be having a service this Wednesday. Maybe you want to go see the fireworks or celebrate, however you do that. And also the office is going to be closed on Wednesday. But later in the week, we have a couple of opportunities. As you may know, July is Metaphysical Movie Month. We've made a couple of changes. People decided on different talks. So just check your bulletin. But what I wanted to say is that we do this every year in July as kind of a summer fun. The speaker picks a movie, and then we show it here on Friday night. So you can see the movie ahead of time, and then on Sunday, we get to hear it interpreted metaphysically. We believe that God didn't stop talking to people when the Bible was finished, that God continues to express through us, through our creativity, and through literature and film and art, and so we're interpreting metaphysically these movies. So I invite you to come on Friday and see The Shape of Water. I would not recommend that you bring children to it because of language and violence, but it will be discussed next Sunday by Reverend Medora Gordon, and Deborah Winters will be doing the music, so it'll be a great time to connect. And also, for those of you who are experiencing some emotions or discomfort about Reverend Bill's retiring, there's a support group for you. You can come and make yourselves known. But there are also a lot of other ways to be involved in this transition, not the least of which is to hold the community in your prayers. We'll talk about that a little bit later with the community prayer that we're saying. And also give input to people who are working on the transition. There's going to be a town hall meeting on August 5th. There's not a slide for that, but just to keep it in mind that we will have an opportunity for everyone to find out what's happening and give feedback on August 5th. And now I would like to invite our prayer chaplain forward with the prayer box. And again, just a reminder of how powerful prayer is. And if you would like to write down your prayer needs on a slip out in the narthex and put it in this box, there's a group of people who will pray with you for 30 days here at Unity in Marin, and then after that it goes to Unity Village for another 30 days to be held in prayer with you also. And Yvette also has lit the candle, or I lit it, but it's there to remind us that we all have that light inside of us, and the more we shine it for each other, the larger it gets and the brighter it gets. So shine your light. Thank you, Yvette. I'm going to read from the Daily Word, which is a wonderful little publication, again, by Unity Village. And I was going to read the poem in the beginning of this is the new one today, July 1st, but since I want to keep this brief, I just want to invite you to get a copy of it and take it home and read it. I think it's very powerful. And we use this as a tool every day. So I'm going to read today's Daily Word, which is New Day. And then that'll be followed by a few minutes of silent meditation. So relax in your chairs and prepare yourselves, and let's talk about this new day. My creative power enables me to create a new day whenever I choose. A day that starts from a place of peace and order will often stay that way. Likewise, a day that begins in anxiety and fear may continue to expand upon those negative energies unless I change my outlook. I can accept the day I'm given, or I can change my viewpoint. The concept of time enables us to measure, plan, and relate to each other in important ways. As an expression of infinite spirit, however, I am not bound by human-made limitations. At any time, I can declare a negative day complete and done and over with and begin again, no matter what clocks or calendars may read. My creative power enables me to create a new day whenever I choose. And from Psalm 118, This is the Lord's doing. It is marvelous in our eyes. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. And we take that into the silence.
So this next song is a medley and sort of poses a question and answer, and you have to hold into your head that the subject of Pat's talk was an atheist, so I changed the words up a bit. Don't be afraid, my love is stronger, my love is stronger than your fear. Don't be afraid, my love is stronger, and I have promised promise to be always near. Hush, hush, somebody's calling my name. Hush, oh hush, somebody's calling my name. Oh hush, hush, somebody's calling my name. Oh no, oh no, what shall I do? Oh, it can't be Jesus, but somebody's calling my name. It can't be Jesus, but somebody's calling my name. Oh, it can't be Jesus, but somebody's calling my name. Oh no, oh no, what shall I do? Don't be afraid, my love is stronger. My love is stronger than your fear. Don't be afraid. My love is stronger, and I have promised to be always near, and I have promised to be always near.
If this is your first time here at Unity in Marin, we'd like to say welcome to you. And we have a couple of ushers with a gift for you. You can have a flower, a beautiful rose, and also there's a packet of information about Unity in Marin and about the Unity movement. And on the outside, there's a form. If you fill that out and take it over into the center of the courtyard, we call it the hub. It's the hub of the wheel. It's the information hub or the welcome center. They will give you, tell you how to get a free CD of today's service and also to go into the bookstore and get a free coffee mug. So all you have to do is raise your hand, identify yourself, and one of our ushers will find you, and we're happy to have you here. And if you're watching online, you are also a welcome part of this community. Keep in touch with us, and we'll keep in touch with you. All right, our second core commitment is to grow. Let's say that together. We grow in consciousness through education, healing, and prayer. So lots of opportunities for all three of those. I mentioned prayer earlier, and a lot of people are saying, well, what can I do to help the transition? Here is the community prayer, and there are three different parts. One is about blessing the search, the ministerial search, the success of our Montessori school, and also the abundance and general prosperity of this community. So under a tent over there, it'll say silent prayer. You can go over there and spend a little time putting your prayer energy along with everybody else's to raise the vibration, to really bring all of what we need to bear right here. And you can probably get a copy of it to take home and use it during your prayer time as well. Another opportunity to grow, we have two different things that happen monthly that I'm going to tell you about. Every second Friday of the month, Noetic Science puts on an event here. And this month we're going to have Sky Nelson. He's also a musician and a really charismatic guy. And what Unity does is focuses on this spiritual aspect of science, or sometimes it's called quantum physics. And people bring a snack and something to drink, and after the talk you can discuss things, and it's a nice community. Maybe 40, 50 people will be here, so join them for that. And then also monthly there is a Life After Death group, and I believe that's the third Friday of every month. And this time the speaker is going to talk about, she had a car accident when she was 19 years old and was in a coma for 4 weeks, experienced that end of life and then coming back. So if that's something that interests you, definitely come to that as well. And now I would like to invite you to stand as you are able, and we will sing our statement of truth.
There is only one power, only one presence, active in all my life and in the universe. God the good in all, through all, and over all. There is only one power, only one presence, active in all my life and in the universe. God the good in all, through all, and over all. Alleluia, 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 alleluia. So this next song, to put it briefly, is about people called people. People who need people are the luckiest people in the world. We're children needing other children, and yet letting our grown-up pride hide all the need inside, acting more like children than children. Lovers are very special people. They're the luckiest people in the world. With one person, one very special person, a feeling deep in your soul says you were half, now you're whole. No more hunger and thirst, but first be a person who needs people. People who need people are the luckiest people
And thank you for the songs that you chose for today. They really are about the idea of the movie. I was very moved by this movie, Lucky. First of all, welcome to Metaphysical Movie Month. I always enjoy it so much each week. This movie, Lucky, really moved me. I think mostly because of the message, the depth of it, and also because of the protagonist, the lead. I must tell you a little about him. Harry Dean Stanton, who I knew nothing about before I saw this movie. Apparently, I'm in the minority there because he was very well known in Hollywood. He played character roles in, I found out, 24 movies. He was 90 when he did this movie. So all of those years, he really had good relationships with many of the actors and people involved in the whole film industry. So he was retired. And two of the people who were good friends of his for over 30 years were screenwriters. And they thought, gee, you know, Harry Dean Stanton is his name. And he's been in movies all these years, and he's never played a lead role. We need to write a movie for Harry. So they did. They were both full-time employed, to say the least, but they made a commitment. 5 days a week, 2 hours a day from 11 at night to 1 in the morning. They met in this coffee shop or bar, I don't know which, and they wrote this script. And they wrote it like for how he really is, you know. They made it a character who smoked incessantly, because Harry Dean Stanton smoked about 3 packs a day. Every scene practically that you'll see, he's puffing, you know. And they made it about a person who was cantankerous, because Harry was like that. Kind of hard to get along with, and pretty, quite opinionated. And he swore like a trooper. I did my best to keep the swearing out of these clips, but a couple words got in here and there. So anyway, it was very much written for him, and as almost a testimonial, I think, to the excellent work he'd done over all the years in the movies. So they were so excited when they finished it, and they went and they saw him, and they said, Harry, it's time for you to be the star. We wrote a movie for you. And he said, I'm old and I'm tired and I don't want to do it. And they were so disappointed. And so then they had an idea. They talked to 7 or 8 of the people who were good friends of Harry Dean Stanton's over the years, really close friends. David Lynch was one who had directed so many of the movies that he starred in, the famous director David Lynch. So Ed Begley, I think his name was. Anyway, 7 or 8 people that are in this movie. The bartender, the 2 owners of the bar in the movie, the coffee shop waitresses, the clerk behind the coffee shop, the doctor, all good friends in real life of Harry Dean Stanton's. So all of them agreed to be in the movie. And some of them were retired too. And so then they went back to him and said, would you do it? And he said, oh, geez, okay, I'll do it. So you know, it's just very much about who he was and a testimonial to the man. And another thing that really touched me is he did die. He died before the film actually came out. So he never got to see it. Well, we know he is seeing it, but he never got to see it while he was on this earth. So let's begin with our first scene and see what Lucky's like.
Con el tiempo de mí te has enamorar, porque el tiempo es buen amigo de verdad, porque cobra y porque paga y porque cobra, porque quita y porque da. El tiempo y un ganchito ha de resecarse el mar. Con el tiempo de mí te has de enamorar, porque el tiempo es buen amigo de verdad. porque cobra y porque paga y porque cobra, porque quita y porque da. ¿No recuerdas ese día que te dije el alma mía, por tu culpa herida está? Me dijiste, estoy segura, esa herida se te cura, con el tiempo sanará. Y ahora tú eres la que llora, eres ahora la que implora, es el tiempo que pasó. No te aflojes ni te aflijas, son las penas que tú tienes, las mismas que tuve yo. No te aflojes ni te aflijas, son las penas que tú tienes, las mismas que tuve yo.
Lucky, how you doing?
You're nothing.
You're nothing.
Thank you.
Good morning, sweetheart.
Hi, Dawn.
Plenty of cream and sugar, just like you like it.
I forgot to mention that it was him playing the harmonica too, all through the movie. He actually was a very skilled harmonica player. So that's Lucky. And all through the movie, especially the first 2/3 of it, he does exactly the same thing every morning. Puts the milk in the refrigerator the same way, does his exercises, everything. And it's like, his life is all these rituals and these habits, and I thought it was weird until I started thinking about myself. And then I realized, I kind of do the same thing. I do what I do every morning, kind of the same way. You know, I put my toothbrush in the same place. I take my vitamins. Everything that I do, I kind of have my very set routine. Nobody told me to do it, but these things just kind of evolve in our lives, don't they? We have ways that we like things and ways we don't like things, and we lean toward doing things the way we like them, and it kind of makes it kind of shapes our life in between all the big adventures, you know, and so that's how Lucky was, very much a creature of his rituals and his habits, I think, like many of us. So what he did every day after the cafeteria is diner, he'd go home and he would strip down to his underwear again, hot there in Arizona, and then he would have his crossword puzzles and his daytime shows, his game shows. So he would do that. Then he'd get all dressed again, and he'd go out to the bar. There were only 2 bars in town, one of which he was banned from, and one that he hung around every night. So we'll hear more about that later. So in this bar, it was quite something, because everybody knew everybody. This is a really small town. And they would argue with each other and make fun of each other and tell jokes and philosophize about morality and right and wrong. And let's see how he is when he goes into the bar. This is where he meets his friend Howard, too, who's David Lynch.
Hey, Howard.
Howard, what are you drinking?
Something strong.
What's the matter, Howard?
President Roosevelt escaped.
What are you talking about?
Presidents.
Which one?
Roosevelt.
Yeah, which one?
No, my tortoise. President Roosevelt. He escaped.
How does a 100-year-old tortoise escape?
I left the gate open when I went to check the mail.
Where's your mailbox? Europe?
I saw him eyeing that gate the other day. He had to have timed it out perfectly. I searched our entire neighborhood.
Did you search your entire yard?
Hey, we're talking about his best friend here.
Thank you, Lucky.
You're welcome, Howard.
You're right, I'm sorry. We shouldn't make fun.
I'm gonna miss him. He's outlived 2 of my wives. I'm going to the WC.
Okay, Brown.
You know, friendship between animals and humans is essential and special. And friendship is essential to the soul.
What?
Friendship is essential to the soul.
It doesn't exist.
What, friendship?
The soul.
Hey, knucklehead.
So they established that Lucky's an atheist, and his friends accept him that way. That's how they've come to know him. You know, it's so interesting about friendship and the people that we see periodically in our life, and how we accept a lot of faults in our friends, don't we? It's like when we get used to somebody, it's just, that's how they are, and they do the same for us. That's how they are. You know, there's something we like and care for about each other, either from circumstances or choosing each other, but we accept each other as we are, and that's another container for our life, along with our rituals, is the people that we're used to being with. And so that kind of establishes Lucky and who he was and how he spent his days. Now we're going to start to get a little more into consciousness, if you will. And, you know, we who attend Unity in Marin are very aware that our external world is very much a reflection of what's going on in our inner space. And we go through a lot of changes in our life, but as we stay kind of the same in consciousness, the same energy, the same beliefs, we have different faces, different places in our life, but basically our life flows along. Maybe until something happens. And many times when something unexpected happens, it calls a halt to things. And we get to, if we're fortunate, look within and perhaps even examine, explore that consciousness which has generated our lives. You know, I was thinking about when that happened to me. One of the most significant times for me was after my second divorce. I was so floored that my life had gotten to that point. I was so determined to make that marriage work after the first horrible one. This is what I was generating in those years. And then when I had that second divorce, it just was such a shock to me that it brought me up short and generated this point of change that I'm talking about for me in my life, where I really started looking and became open. So let's see what happens to Lucky.
Porque no han enverdecido, es que no los han regado con agua del río florido. Me puse a amar a una mujer con la ilusión de amar.
Jesus Christ.
So we'll see that this physical shock, which happened to Lucky, is going to provide that crack, if you will, for him to, what's that beautiful saying about the vase? I think it's in one of Neil Diamond's songs, I'm not sure anyway, why there's a crack in every vase. It's not only for the light to come in, but it's for the light to go out as well. And so what happens with Lucky, as he has this kind of crack in his life, is that he opens to a higher knowing, a higher understanding, to guidance. I love one of the things from the big book of the 12-step programs, in the promises, it says that when we open to not knowing so much anymore, we will suddenly realize that God is doing for us what we could not do for ourselves. And we can open to that new guidance. So he goes to the doctor's office, and his doctor turns out to be an agent of this new knowing. Go ahead.
Well, I can do a lot more tests, but I think it's going to turn out to be exactly what I think it is.
What's that?
You're old and you're getting older.
That's your diagnosis?
That's all I got.
Well, that's bullshit.
The body's going to break down at some point. As far as I know, nobody's lived forever. It's going to happen to all of us. Now, as I said, I can do more tests, but I don't want to do that to you, and you don't want to have it done.
So, what am I supposed to do?
At this point, I think it might be a good idea to get an assisted living person hooked up.
What?
Assisted living. They come by and they help you cook meals, help you bathe.
Oh, I don't know. I'm on my own.
You'd never get lonely being alone?
There's a difference between being lonely and alone.
You know, I saw this happen with my father. He started to lose his eyesight, and with it, his ability to drive. It wasn't getting older that bothered him. It was the loss of his freedom, his mobility. It's all fine as long as you realize it's all part of the process.
Well, how is your old man?
Oh, buddy, he died a year ago.
Oh, wow.
It was peaceful. You know, most people don't get to where you are. They get hit by a bus or get leukemia or something. They never get to the moment that you're in right now, where you have the ability to witness what you're going through and clearly examine it, and more importantly, to accept it. I know that's kind of heavy for this hour of the morning, but you're in exceptional health for a person your age, and if you need anything whatsoever, you call me, you just come by.
Okay.
Been very good today, so you get one of these.
What do I do with this? Stick it up my ass?
How about you just suck it?
So he's been going along with his aging. You know, he's getting really up there in years. He's been dealing all right with it, from his structure of his life, his friends, his routines, until this happens. And so he's really, his boat is really rocked, obviously. And the doctor says a really wonderful thing to him. He tells him, you know, it's all fine as long as you realize it's all part of the process. You can witness what you're going through, clearly examine it, and more importantly, accept it. So that's really good, but like a lot of us, we may not be able to go right there, go right into acceptance. And that's what happens to Lucky. You know, it all sounds good, but he is mad. He's angry. I mean, it feels like his life is falling apart because all the stability he had is just threatened now. What's going to happen, you know? What's going to happen to him? So let's take a look at what happens. He goes into the diner. For starters, everything seems to go wrong. He goes into the diner and he can't even sit where he usually sits. He has to sit at a booth.
Every day with this guy.
Needler said it was all right for me to smoke.
Not in here. And when did Needler ever say that?
This morning.
Oh, you know, I was getting a little worried. But she was getting that prostate checked.
I fell. On my bony ass, I fell.
Are you okay?
That's subjective.
Pam, Loretta, Lucky fell down.
Let's not make a production out of it.
Well, what did Needler say?
Said I'm old.
And that's news to you.
Did he give you anything?
I don't know, man. It's all bullshit.
Wait, where you going?
So he's acting out of his anger. He's mad. You know, that anger, I think, can come out of the kind of powerlessness that he's feeling. When there's nothing we can do, we don't, yeah, sure, accept it, right. But there's nothing we can do, and so that anger at least feels like you're doing something. When you're mad, it's powerful energy, and you feel like you're still strong because you're making your voice heard. But in truth, it really, you know, here he's receiving new information about life, and he's starting to open up to life. But that anger, as we all have found, I'm sure, can kind of keep us deaf to spiritual awareness. When we're in anger or in blame or being a victim of something, we don't get to hear our deep spiritual truths. And so while it seems strong, it's actually weak, and it's actually weaker than like fear or grief, I think. Okay, so now we'll watch him go into the bar, and this is a scene where his best friend Howard is being, having this, is shyster a bad word, shyster lawyer? Maybe it is, I'm sorry. This lawyer who is trying to take advantage of his friend Howard and talk to him about leaving all his money to his loved ones, which of course all he has is the tortoise. So let's see how Lucky responds to that.
Didn't Roosevelt just run away?
Yeah, but this is for, you know, when he comes back.
Is he a homing turtle?
Tortoise. No, he's not.
He's gone, Howard. And you're all alone. We come in alone and we go out alone.
That's awfully bleak.
It's beautiful. Alone comes from two words, all one. It's in the dictionary.
I miss him.
It'll be okay, Howie.
The tortoise is an amazing creature, Lucky.
So we can see that, like him saying about all one, alone is all one, he's starting to like download different ideas, bigger realizations about life. And just opening up to new experiences. Like in the next scene we're going to see now, one of the waitresses comes by to see him at home. And what we'll see is that the anger is starting to move over, and in its place is coming what you talked about, Carolyn, earlier, authenticity and vulnerability. So let's watch.
This photo at the beach. Are these your kids?
No.
Were you ever married?
No. Were you?
No. You got somewhere to be, sailor?
No. Do you like game shows?
Do you smoke grass? This isn't a game show.
It's ended.
This... He is amazing. Who is this?
Liberace. Didn't you ever hear of him?
Yes, I've heard of him. He's wonderful.
I feel like such an asshole. When this guy first came on the scene, I wrote him off as just another extravagant fruit. If you stop and listen to him, you'll see he's brilliant. And I don't know how the hell he plays with all those rings on his fingers. That's even more impressive. Look at him. And I don't know why I ever gave a shit about who he was screwing in the first place. If he was getting laid, more power to him. I can hardly get it up anymore.
I hope I didn't leave anybody out. Oh, we did leave out somebody. All you kids on
Oh, shit. I gotta go. I'm late. I gotta get back to the diner. Joe is gonna kill me.
Bunch of liars. Now, this boogie
I'll see you later.
playing for you is a kind that is known as boogie woogie.
Hey,
Yeah,
Here's a little invention of my own.
can I tell you a secret?
absolutely.
You won't tell anyone? I'm scared.
I know. I know.
So as he lets go of the anger, he finds himself starting to do things differently, like when he hugged her back, and then he could get in touch with the fear. And yeah, the doctor tells him, witness it and accept it. But that witnessing, when we have things happen in our life, has to be witnessing our emotions. And until we can tell ourselves the truth about what we're feeling, and hopefully, and even more powerfully, actually express it to someone else, that's when these things that can have us by the throat are free to leave us, because we have felt them. We have acknowledged our feelings, however we're reacting to life. And when we do that, we're no longer trapped in them. And so that increases our opening to what's really going on spiritually, what's really happening. So in this next scene, he comes more into his power, into his knowing. And it's the last scene we're going to look at. And it's, what was it? Oh, it's again in the bar, yes, when they're arguing. Oh, he starts to light up again, another cigarette, and the owner says, how many times do I have to tell you you can't smoke in here? And then she says, you got thrown out of that other bar, Eve's, for smoking. He says, I did not get thrown out, I left. And she said, I know the truth. And so then he gives his speech, which is really incredible. So let's look at that.
I wish I'd been there.
You could have been there and still have missed it.
You broke the rules, you got busted and banned. That's the truth.
Look, how about if we all agree to disagree?
No. I know the truth, and the truth matters.
It's a thing, right?
Yes, truth is a thing. It's the truth of who we are and what we do, and you have to face that and accept it, because the truth of the universe is waiting.
I'm lost.
The truth of what is for all of us.
Which is?
That it's all going to go away. You, me, the cigarette, everything. Into blackness, the void. And nobody's in charge. And you're left with guts.
Guts.
Nothing.
nothing. That's all there is.
And what do you do with that?
What do we do with that?
You smile.
People don't talk about that very much, do they? You know, it's the truth that when we die, everything is gone. We don't have our bodies anymore, and nobody sees us pretty much anymore. And it's something that, you know, when we lose a loved one, it hits us so hard as we get older and start looking ahead to our own mortality. We think about those things. But it's something that's not talked about very much. And he spoke it out there. He told the truth. He said, nothing's left when we're gone. We disappear. And then the way he smiled then, the only way he could have smiled, the only powerful meaning of that was that he realized that's not who we are anyway. All of this life, this finite short period of our soul's existence, that we put everything we can into it, which is good. We make the best life we can. We make the best choices. We love as much as we can. We accomplish as much as we can. And it's almost like dreaming in sleep. It's very finite. It's for a short period of time. We live it, hopefully, fully. And then we're done with it, because that's never who we were in the first place. What we are is expressions of spirit. That's what we are. We're spiritual being, God, if you will, in form, doing what we're doing for a period of time. And if we put all our investment in the duration, in the lastingness of all this, it's just not true, because we're going to be going on to our next experience. So to the extent that we can get our real self, our fullness, our wholeness, and to the extent that we can go inside and have a sense of that oneness, like he said, all one, to that extent can we smile. I love that expression. Teilhard de Chardin said, joy is the infallible presence, joy is the infallible awareness of God. And so that's why he could smile, because he knew that, yeah, you know, I'm going to leave here and everything's still wonderful and it's still beautiful, because I'm the same self I've always been, just in different form. So so I love that movie. I hope you did too. Let's do our denial and our affirmation. So we'll say together our denial. I do not have to try so hard to get it all right. And our affirmation. Peace is always within and available if I open to knowing it is so. And so it is.
I'd like to invite the ushers forward while we take out our cards if we're pledgers, automatic pledgers, or your cash if you're doing that, to really give back to the community that supports us spiritually. Thank you, ushers.
Just as we give, so we receive. Richly we live in one golden wheel. There is nothing that we can lack. We live from love, and love gives it back. Just as we give, so we receive. Richly we live in one golden wheel. There is nothing that we can lack. We give from love, love gives it back. Just as we give, so we receive. Richly we live in one golden wheel. There is nothing that we can lack. We give from love, love gives it back. This next song has nothing to do with Pat's talk, but it has a lot to do what is going on now in the world. There's a quote, "There can be no keener revelation of a society's soul than the way in which it treats its children." We've seen in the last few weeks that there are some 2,000 children that have been separated from their families. And I think that the images and stories of that has shattered the soul of America. It just can't be that that's who we are. It just can't be that we consider people the other, that we consider children the other. There was a clergy rally that was held in San Diego, and there one of the ministers said, "We have to make a shift. We have to stop calling families immigrant families, undocumented families, and call them our families, because they're our children." And once you claim something to be ours, you can't mistreat it that way. And so we saw yesterday when there were over 700 rallies across the United States of people who stood up and who said, in essence, we care and the children are ours and the families are ours. Even seniors and walkers and wheelchairs in the streets of Oakland were rallying. And so I hope that whatever you can do, that you do that to make a statement, that even if you take this music and you spread it far and wide to people, that maybe the music can say something that words alone have not been able to say. And so I found this song in 1995 and just happened upon it about a week or so ago, and I was shocked at the fact that it was so prevalent for right now. It's called "What About the Children?" Tears streaming down, her heart is broken because her life is hurting, so am I. He wears a frown, his dreams are choking, and because he stands alone, his dreams might die. Oh, so humbly I come to you and say, as I sound aloud the warfare of today, hear me as I pray. What about the children? To ignore is so easy. So many innocent children who might choose the wrong way. So what about the children? Remember when we were children? And if not for those who loved us and who shared enough to show us, where would we be today? Sir, where is your son? Where lies his refuge? 'Cause if he can't come to you, where can he run? So many girls, but she is your daughter. And if we just reminisce our days of young, you see, it's not where you've been or what you've done, because I have a friend who specializes in great outcomes. You see, love will overcome. So what about the children? To ignore is so easy. So many innocent children, we might choose their wrong way. Yes, so what about the children? Remember when we were children? And if not for those who loved us and who cared enough to show us, where would we be today? So what about the children? Don't just turn and walk away. What about the children? They need your love and your help today. Yes, what about the children? Remember when we were children, and if not for those who loved us and who cared enough to show us, where would we be today? Where would we be today? What about the children?
Thank you, Cindy, for singing that for all of us. Let's bless this offering. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God. And thank you, Reverend Pat Palmer, for enlightening us with those wonderful messages about that film. And once again, it just reminds us that we get to hold it all, and we thank God for people who are taking the actions and making the changes in their own lives to just to express the incredible experience it is to be human, to be spiritual beings in these physical bodies. So what can we do? Find ways to serve. We serve spirit, community, and the world with love, joy, and a sense of adventure. And we can buy pies. We can support our YOU, our Youth of Unity, help them get to rallies. Maybe there are no more pies left. Give them some money. You know, give of yourselves however you can. They'll give you a hug, that's right. And we all need more of those. I also want to tell you about an upcoming class. Maria, would you stand up, please? And just, I also want to have her stand up because next week she's going to be up here being the worship assistant for the first time. So, but in the meantime, she and Regina are heading up a class. It's Keys to the Kingdom, which is a wonderful little publication that is just rich with so many things, and the book, The 5 Principles. So this is core unity stuff. If you've never read this, it's an excellent opportunity to go deeper into these teachings. And as you know, in October, we're going to have the Back to the Table again. Go to the Welcome Center there and sign up for something, how you can help, how you can sponsor a table or invite some other people to do that with you. And of course, we want you to go to the bookstore. Christine Morgan is an incredible resource for all of us. I don't know if you know, but her professional career, she was a librarian and a researcher, and she can find you anything that you want to get. She can order it for you and bring it here and answer all your questions. So go down and get some goodies. There's Christine up in the balcony. Yes. And I want to thank all the sponsors for our flowers and our hospitality today. I want to thank Louise and Pam for the dedication of these beautiful flowers, which Sarah Gaspari did. And Tom McAuliffe, celebrating our community, and he sponsored with the hospitality. So you can do that also. Go see Charcel right down the breezeway. Sign up for a week to sponsor, and we really appreciate that. Now would the prayer chaplains please stand. If you have not yet had the opportunity to pray with a prayer chaplain, do it today for your first time, because it's a wonderful, wonderful experience. And they will hold everything you say in confidence, and they will see you deeply for the truth of your being. Thank you, prayer chaplains, for your service. And now if you'll all stand, we will say our prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. And now if you'll take the hand of the person next to you, we'll sing the peace song.